Assalamu alaikum, friends. Today I will tell you the story of a good woman with God and tell you how 3 women turned into dogs. Watch this video till the end to know the story of 3 women turning into dogs. Today's video will touch your heart, and this video has a very important lesson for everyone. Today's beautiful video is about 3 beautiful brides. You will be shocked to hear the full story. So keep watching this video till the very end. Dear friends, give this wonderful video a like now and subscribe the channel so that you can easily get such wonderful stories. So let's hear the story, dear friends. In one place there was a man of God, and he had only one sister who lived in another village. Like his brother, he was a righteous slave who worshipped Allah Ta'ala. Allah Walali's elder brother used to go to his village occasionally to visit him. Once, unfortunately, he could not go to the village to meet his sister. That godly woman had 3 sons who had reached puberty, so he got them married. Although people are good themselves, they rarely meet good people. Exactly the same thing happened with that mother-in-law. That is, that godly woman. All 3 of his wives were more clever. When their mother-in-law used to pray in her own room, these 3 wives felt very bad that this woman was saying Allah, Allah all the time, even sitting in the house wasting food. Who used to do all the housework. He had a tendency to give a lot of charity. Whenever a beggar knocked at his door, he never sent him back empty-handed. This upset the 3 wives, and they got angry with their mother-in-law. The good woman also cared for her neighbor and ordered her grandmothers to increase the quantity of food when you cook it, because I want to distribute that food to some of my neighbors. The 3 wives hated their mother-in-law very much and were very worried about her, because he used to wake them up early in the morning and tell them, pray the Fajr prayer, keep the house clean, recite the Holy Quran. Those 3 wives had no desire to worship, but they worshipped according to their mother-in-law. One morning, the woman woke up one of her grandmothers and said, Grandma, get up in the morning, pray and clean the house. Today I will invite many people and feed them. After hearing this, the wife said, Mom, will any big man come to our house today? In reply, the mother-in-law said, No, I am not inviting any big personality to my house. Rather, we invited some poor people around us to feed them at our house. A large table is needed to feed them, and Balma, all 3 of you have to cook for them. Good grandmother, the servant who feeds the poor even for 1 meal, then Allah is pleased with that servant. Hearing this, the 3 wives burst into anger. They began to say among themselves, I have come to some kind of a trouble. Always have to cook in this house. This woman sometimes invites the poor, sometimes brings orphans and poor, and sometimes brings and feeds the homeless. This woman has so much money, or from where, that she spends so much for them. They often asked their husbands where their mother got so much money from. Does he have any land deposits from which he is getting money? In reply, their husbands say, Our mother has the nature of charity from the beginning. Our lineage is such that the price of good deeds is high. So do as our mother says. The 3 sons respected their mother very much, but they were a little moved by the way their wives were listening to them in their mother's absence. The plan of the 3 wives was to tease their mother-in-law so much that she would get fed up and go somewhere else. But by the infinite mercy of Allah Ta'ala, all of them could not make that woman happy, even with 1,000 attempts. One day, the mother-in-law was resting in her room. At this time, arrangements were made for those 3 wives to sit together and consult. A wife said, "I am completely tired. I do not know when we will get rid of this old woman. I do not know when this old woman will leave the illusion of the world and we can breathe a little relief." The little wife said, "Every day this old lady cooks us with big bones. I'm totally fed up." The lady wife said, "We can't even take care of our children because of this old lady, always having to cook only for poor people. Let this old lady leave this house by any means." One day the little wife was sitting with folded clothes and waiting for her husband to come. After the younger son returned home from the day's work, he was disturbed to see his wife in such a state. His wife said to him, "Mother-in-law has done all the housework with me today. Even today 50 people came here whose food I cooked by myself, because of which my hands got bruised and hurt a lot. I can't stay in this house anymore. You don't even care about me and my children for your mother. Either you keep us in this house or your mother. You have to choose anyone." Hearing this from the younger son, the mother looked at her other 2 elder sons. They are also speaking on behalf of their wives. Seeing all this, the mother got so much pain that she said, "Okay, fathers, when you want this, then I am leaving here, because I don't want you to suffer for me." Boys have no worries about where their mother is going or how she will be. All they knew was that their mother would go to her brother's house. Where else can he go? The woman left her room with very few things. No one cares where he is going. He didn't want to go to his brother, because he didn't want to disturb his brother like that unnecessarily. A man who could spend most of his time working in the house himself did not want to be a burden on his brother's shoulders. The woman was walking down the road. On the way, he suddenly noticed a handsome young man coming towards him. The young man stood up and said, "Mother, are you going anywhere alone?" The woman said, "No, father. I just went out in search of my destination." Hearing this, the boy said, "I think you are alone, mother. There is no one with you." Hearing this, the woman remained silent. The boy said, "No problem, mother. Oh, you come with me. I have a small house nearby. I live there alone. You will be there with me. You will have no problem." The handsome young man took the woman and proceeded towards his road. The house is inside the forest, very small, but seemed to be full of peace. A clear river was also flowing in front of that house. The old woman said, "Dad, you live in a very beautiful place. Do you have anyone in this world?" The boy said, "No, mother. I am an orphan. From today, you are my mother. You stay here with me." Hearing this, the old woman thanked Allah. The woman said, "I want to pray." The boy showed him a room and said, "You can worship here as much as you like. Pray, thank God." Then the boy left from there. The old woman was amazed at how aware this boy was of worshipping Allah at such a young age. The boy would return to the house when it was time for prayer and leave the house in search of his work. The old woman suddenly fell silent. How can a mother who is thrown out of the house by her sons ask any other question? He always said to Allah in prayer, "O Allah, you are aware of my goodness. You will never make it a burden to anyone. You know how much I love to feed the poor. But for this one reason my sons threw me out of the house. I bear no grudge against them, nor do I curse them. I just feel bad that I can't feed anyone here." Just as he was thinking this, there was a knock at the door. He opened the door and saw many fakirs, poor women standing there. The woman asked in surprise, "Why did you come here?" A woman from there says, "We heard that there is a catering facility here." The old woman said, "No, mother, No one has arranged for food here, and I have not cooked anything." The poor woman said, "What are you talking about? Go outside and see the food being cooked in the big dish." The old woman went out and saw that food was being cooked in a big kettle. There is no way to know who is cooking the food. That boy was not there either. A huge table was arranged there, and everyone sat there and ate to their heart's content. The old woman herself sat with them and ate a full meal and thanked Allah. "Oh Allah, you heard my prayer like this. I just told you, and this dish made itself. I don't know how it happened. Oh Allah, I thank you millions." The old woman thought the feast was only for one day, but every day after the Fajr prayer, the food would automatically be cooked in the dechi, and all the poor would come and stand for the meal. And just then, that handsome young man would disappear from there. The woman realized that there must be some miracle behind it. He understood that this young man must be a special servant of Allah Ta'ala. Some secrets are not to be revealed. So the woman remained silent, even after understanding everything. This incident started spreading slowly. It even spread to the village where the woman's 3 sons lived. The news reached his 3 sons and 3 wives that there was a house in the forest where only food was cooked. All orphans, poor, fakirs, homeless, helpless, distressed in the village, whose house food was not cooked. They all went there and started eating. No one sleeps on an empty stomach. The 3 wives planned that they too would go there and see who this person was, in whose house cooking was being done like this. One day the 3 wives made a plan and went deep into the forest without the eyes of their husbands. There they saw the small house. Food was being cooked on the deck in front of the house, and everyone was eating on the huge table. When they were also called to eat, they bowed their faces and said, "We do not eat food cooked for the poor of these fakirs. Are we poor people or not?" A woman present there said, "We heard that this food is also healing. If a sick person eats this food, his disease is cured." A wife said, "We do not believe this. Even so, we are fed up with our mother-in-law." The little wife asked, "You tell me who the house is? Surely there lives someone who is quite wealthy and cooks food for everyone every day." The woman said, "No man lives here. Rather, there lives an old woman who is a good servant of Allah and loves to feed everyone." The 3 wives were shocked to hear this. They said to themselves, "Is it not our mother-in-law? But how does he come here? He has gone to his brother's house, which is in another village." Then the little wife said, "Let's go inside and see." They entered the house, hiding the 3 wives. As soon as they entered the house, they heard the beautiful recitation of the Quran. But surprisingly, it was not a woman's voice, but a man's voice. 3 wives were standing outside. Suddenly, an old man with a white beard and a light complexion appeared in front of them, seeing which the 3 of them trembled with fear. The old man asked, "Who are you?" The 3 wives replied in fear, "None of us. We just came out to eat." The man asked, "Have you eaten?" The wife said 3 times, "Yes, yes, ate." The 3 wives lied together and left the room and started laughing at their mother-in-law. The younger wife said, "I was scared, but this is another old man." A woman said, "That old woman was so annoying that I was afraid to think if she was doing this. Good thing we didn't eat this again. I don't know which charity is feeding everyone." The 3 wives were laughing at the mother-in-law. At that time, a wife shouted, "Hey, what is happening to Lee?" The other 2 wives turned to look at him and saw his face changing. In a moment, the other two wives felt a change in themselves, and they all three turned into dogs at the same time. As the three of them turned into dogs, human voices came out of their mouths. They reached their home after crossing many hills, but there sat their husbands. They saw 3 dogs enter the house and chased them with sticks. They 3 wives took refuge behind a big wall, in fear. They wondered how they became dogs. A husband's voice was heard from the other side of the wall. He was saying, "I don't know where our wives have gone. There is no trace of them. I looked everywhere. Why didn't they leave without telling us?" Those 3 wives did not go in front of their husbands, for fear that if they went in front of their husbands again, the stick would become a victim. After turning from humans to animals, they realized how many opportunities Allah has given to humans. But we humans do not thank God for His blessings. The 3 sons were not attracted to their mother, but their wives were. After searching all day, they did not find their wife, but those 3 wives were roaming in front of them, standing with hungry stomachs. Neither husbands knew their wives, nor children knew their mothers. After some time had passed, the little wife said to the other 2 in her own words, "Let us go to that place in the forest where everyone is fed. It may be that after eating that food, we reverted back to our former form." They went with the 3 dogs to the place in the forest where everyone was being fed. Everyone saw the 3 dogs there and started kicking them. Someone raised their hands to chase them away. Then they realized that they were being treated the same way they used to treat the rest of the fakirs. "Oh, just run, people. No love." Everyone turned to look at the 3 of them. Just then, the handsome young man came to them and said, "I think you 3 are very hungry, but sadly this dish is not for you. This food is for those people who consider other people's pain as their own pain. But you don't have that feeling. Your behavior has broken an old woman's heart into pieces." Those 3 dogs did not understand any of his words. Meanwhile, they were dying of hunger. Then the handsome young man said, "I understand that you were once in human form, but now you have become like this because of your behavior. You come with me." The boy took a dog inside the house that day. There, that white-bearded old man of God smiled at the 3 of them and said, "If you hadn't behaved like that on that day, if you hadn't been arrogant and eaten that food, you wouldn't have been in this situation today. But you wouldn't eat that food. You sit with beggars and look down. And you drove out of your houses the righteous servants of Allah who used to feed them." The 3 of them could not say anything in the language of their animals. They started shedding tears, just hearing the name of Allah Wali. The old man said, "By the grace of God, let your speech return to human speech again, and you confess your guilt." Then the voice of the 3 dog people came back, and the little wife said, "We admit that we have always been arrogant, looked down on everyone, and we broke our mother-in-law's heart. We always hated him and resented his work. But who are you? How do you know so much?" The old man said, "The woman whom you forced out of the house and incited her sons against her is none other than my sister." Little wife said, "Did he not go to you?" The old man said, "No, he did not come to me. He couldn't even come near me. He was a godly man who surrendered himself to God alone. He couldn't bear to be petted by his brother. He didn't want to be a burden to his brother. For my sister's good deed, I used to send a special person of mine in your house who was never seen by your eyes. And when my sister was in danger, that man brought her to this room. I came to know through my teacher how you insulted him and threw him out of the house. A question always crossed your mind, didn't it? What wealth does my sister have in exchange for which she fed everyone so much food? The truth is that he had nothing. A righteous servant of Allah who spends a penny for his satisfaction, Allah returns to him 10 times more than that amount. Although we were from different villages, there was a tension between us that we were aware of each other's condition. If you eat this food on that day, you will not become such a beast. But you are arrogant and suffer a terrible punishment, as a punishment. Hearing the words of the man of God, they all cried and said, "Forgive us, forgive us. Give us a chance to meet our mother-in-law once." We apologized to him. Although we are not human for the rest of our lives, we have understood the value of human beings. Now neither our children nor our husbands know us. Now we can neither go to the house nor to people's doors. So give us a chance to meet mother-in-law for the last time. The man with God said to the young man, "Go and call my sister." The boy brought the old woman. The dog's eyes were watering that day. They cried and said, "Mother, forgive us. Forgive us, mother." Saying this, they lay down at the feet of the 3 women. The woman was a god. He said, "I have never been angry with you, ladies. I have never complained to Allah about you, nor have I cursed you. Giving charity protects us from many major diseases, saves a lot of trouble. I was doing such charity for the happiness and peace of my children. But it was you who threw me out of the house. But Allah has drawn me into Him. My mind is very clear." A wife said, "Mother, have you forgiven us? We'd better get out of here. We will spend the rest of our lives with this look, because this is the punishment we deserve." The old woman interrupted and said, "No, you will not leave here. It pains me to see you as beasts." Then he looked at his brother and said, "Brother, pray to Allah that He forgives them." That old man said, "You go and call your husband." When the 3 approached their husbands, they first tried to beat them with sticks. But later, when they heard the voice of the man, they believed and went back to that little house. They were very ashamed to see their mother there. Their uncle said to them, "You forgot that she is your mother, and you were doing such a thing that you forgot your duty. Tell me clearly what you want now." Then the boy said, "We apologize to our mother." Their mother said, "Father, I have forgiven you long ago." Then the old woman said to her brother, "Brother, I have forgiven my sons. You should also forgive them and ask Allah for blessings for them." Then the man with God raised his hands and said to God, "O God, this has happened to them because they have wronged their own souls. But you are the most forgiving. You forgive these 3 wives and their husbands and return them to their former group." Allah Ta'ala accepted his prayers and restored those 3 wives to their former appearance. The old woman said to her 3 wives, "Umara, I saw you as my own daughters, but you could not think of me as your mother. Are you still unable to accept me as your mother?" Then the 3 wives said, "Mother, you are our own mother. Come with us, the house you have built with difficulty. We will feed everyone in the village from now on." The man of Allah gifted his elder sister that dekshi, so that food would always be cooked there by the blessings of Allah. By giving charity in the way of Allah, Allah forgives all the sins of people and protects them from great calamities.